So my mom, she's actually really Janis Joplin. When she became part of the 1%, her last name is Earhart. You know, that's why she made that song. Taking a little bit of my heart now, baby. You know you got it. If it makes you feel good. Anyway, she was going out with Tommy Brown, and she met my dad, Tim Kimmel, because Tommy Brown decided to go off and huff gasoline and stuff. We took this blood test years later because they found him, and we're like, well, who are you related to? Anyway, my dad, he was a cocaine dealer, supposedly, I guess is what she said, but my mom likes to lie a lot and fib a lot and tell stories, so who the fuck knows if that's the truth? I said, what? That's crazy as fuck. I never even heard of that. She's probably just fucking with me. Shh. I did not use that curse word. Anyway, my sister is J.K. Rowling. Like, literally, she literally is J.K. Rowling. I mean, that's the first book I ever read was Harry Potter. And I thought she was just some married woman, and she ended up being a married woman. Because she wanted to be. Her husband's pretty alright, you know. He might be related to me a little bit too, because I literally am Native American. But, just very slightly. No, I'm not just very slightly Native American, just very slightly related to me is what I'm saying. Because he's Ali, or no, Stupiak, wait. What the fuck do you call the natives around here in Kodiak? Oh, no, that's not Inuits to some of my friends in fucking Fairbanks. No, your friends in Fairbanks are actually fucking Athabascans and Inupiaks. But I hang out with Inuits too if they want to. Okay? Because literally I'll hang out with anybody that wants to hang out with me because I love everybody. We're actually just Latino or something, but you know, and whatever the fuck else we are. Because human beings are human beings. Anyways, I'm not gonna get on this fucking shit about what kind of natives live in Kodiak, because literally a lot of natives live in Kodiak. Because what happened back in the day, back when a lot of stuff was hitting the fan with accusations of child molestation and people trying to get away from their alcoholic families who were arguing and fighting all the time, and either they lied about being molested or they actually were molested. And white people are pretty fucking gullible, so CPS or OCS or whoever the fuck they were, sometimes they took people away from their families. And I didn't talk until I was over 3 years old because of that. Literally, because they said, hey, you know, asking me all these questions and stuff. And I was like a little kid. They kept coming back and asking me these questions. My parents were really friendly to them, so I quit trusting my parents. And I decided never to say anything. I didn't know how to lie yet. And that was the only lie I could tell, was not to talk. Anyway, over 3 years later, I finally realized that my parents just were being nice to them and didn't want their kids taken away. So I finally sent mom and dad and my parents and, you know, started talking. But only because of that. They might have been slightly disappointed, but not talking is kind of boring and stuff. I don't know. There are always these weird secret competitions and things that I don't understand. Literally, my dad's family owns a whole island in Seattle called Vashon Island. And like literally, the people there are fucking wealthy as hell, extremely rich, really. So, what's the difference between having a 1% personality type and being part of the 1%? Not a whole hell of a lot. Anyway, but do I have any money? Heck no. But like I said, my mom's actually literally Janis Joplin. She didn't really die, it's just she joined the 27 Club, and that means she literally became a billionaire and wealthy as fuck. You think Kurt Cobain's dead? I just saw him the fucking other day, pardon my French, living in a trailer down there near the, what do you call that? The post office. And he looks great. Maybe he tried penal injection therapy and he got shot in the head. But because he had to do it twice. Sometimes you do it twice to last 6 months, and the next time you do it twice, it lasts 2 years. But that's only if you don't have a heart condition. You know you got it if it makes you feel good. Anyway, supposedly my dad was my mom's cocaine dealer. And when Tommy Brown left, huffing gasoline and just took off, my dad really liked my mom. She was 10 years older than him. Supposedly, I don't even know, because they lie so much. And got her pregnant with my sister, Jolene, who started talking at 9 months old. CPS came around and started bothering us then. My grandma, she gave me this really test, She was like, all you have to do is admit that you're rich, Tim. All you have to do is admit that you're rich. But I couldn't talk because CPS kept bothering me and I didn't know how to lie yet. So literally, I made this vow to myself that I never speak a word because I didn't want my siblings taken away. So literally, I was left with that choice. Otherwise, I would say, hey, Grandma, okay, I'm rich. I love you. But instead, I used my gift on her. And because of that, I really do like my Grandma Barbara. Anyway, this was a long time ago. Because the first year of your life as a child, a baby, is the longest year of your life. Literally. And all this stuff was happening. But I guess sometimes people get so caught up in the lie that the truth is almost too fantastic for people to believe. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter that much because this is not a part of the organized crime story that I was going to tell. And yet it does fit in it very well because I started talking about other people and what kind of drugs and things they used to do. But you don't want to be like that because literally the only lie I could tell as a 3-year-old child was not saying a word. That's the only lie anybody who doesn't know how to lie should tell. Because I know I have a lazy eye. It's ugly as fuck, but I used to have teeth so buck I couldn't close my mouth. They called me Quasimodo or Popeye. And then eventually I learned to look into a mirror when I was 19 years old. So I wanted to go to college and blend in with the normal people. So, because of that, I trained myself to look into a mirror every day. I started out, like 30 seconds to a minute. And eventually I got to like an hour where I could look into a mirror and not hate myself. Because I kept reinforcing positive vibes with the words like, you're not as ugly as you used to be. All this other stuff. Eventually I liked myself. I said, well, I met this lazy-eyed chick and she was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. And I said to myself, oh my God, it's not your lazy eye that you find ugly. You're just not attracted to men. And it made a lot of sense because she really is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And I said, wow, I really feel better about myself. In my next life, I hope I have a lazy eye again. To teach myself this lesson of what it is to be human in humility. And yet, I have a lazy eye every time I come around. Because that's who I am. Yeah. So because of this, I try not to get personal with the story, but I understand what Tommy Brown and why he was addicted to huffing gas tanks. Because me and my friends, before I left Ashland Island to come to Kodiak, because of CPS and that child molestation scandal, where I saved my friends from being molested as a child. And although I was the one who inadvertently got triple dog dared to be the guinea pig for them to find out what a blowjob was. No offense, it wasn't something that I would like to talk about, but I literally got called gay for over 30 fucking years because of it. And I've never had a gay thought. I didn't run away because I'm a man, and I couldn't abandon my friends. And to this day, they're still my friends, and I still love them. They love me too. Because gay people are made. They're created. They're not actually real. Because before they're created, they're just little kids who would turn into heterosexual men if they hadn't been effed over and turned into something else before that, and traumatized before they got to the point where they realized that, oh shit, I just turned 13 years old, and so all of a sudden I'm attracted to a woman. You know, I was convinced I was gay before that. It's a Hollywood thing, really, just something that they made up because somebody told me I was, because I was gullible. Then all of a sudden, I got aroused looking at a chick I like, and I realized, oh, there's no such thing. Those other people, they'll end up looking like really old little kids because they were traumatized from a young age. And they'll never get over that. Probably. You hope they will, but who knows? I'm a really good friend, so, I couldn't just stand by and see that happen to my friends and not do something. So, I've never been that innocent. And they found out, and I said, "Hey, this is boring. Who would do that? What's wrong with adults? Like, why would anybody want to do this? Let's go play. This is boring. You know, I'm not having fun. Let's go do something else." And basically, the only reason that my parents found out was because my foreskin was pulled back. And otherwise, I never said anything. My sister called me a snitch, but she's a girl. She's not aware of foreskins and stuff. And I didn't know how to tell her at the time that literally I'm not a snitch either. 30 years later, after people called me gay for years and years and years, and I have like 3 kids with more than one woman, and all this other shit, like, I finally told them, hey, like, this is literally the truth. You've been calling me gay for no reason because I stopped my friends from being molested as a child. And basically, you're a piece of shit. Because I don't like you. It took me that long to tell you this. Otherwise, I would have told you a lot sooner. But, hey, that's what you get for being a fucking lame ass. Pardon my French again. Because I'm too glued down to the end. I would do like anything for those people. Because they're family. They're not just family. They're friends. My best friend as a kid, a woman named Sarah. Now she's a woman. She was a little girl back then. She went through the same thing that I went through. So when I finally met her, she didn't talk. But we talked all the time without words. She was so awesome and still is. Although I haven't seen her in a long time. She used to follow me around everywhere. I don't want to chase her when we were playing tag, but she would tell me when I messed up and I didn't notice something. And she didn't have to say like English or anything like that. We had deeper conversations without saying anything ever. And she would tell me, hey, you missed something, Tim. And I would appreciate it. And I would tell her too. Say, thank you. Because literally, you're right. Obviously, I did forget and miss that. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't know. And she knew to tell me. And she's one of the few people that ever got me right that I know of that hasn't had some weird agenda. I miss that about her because not a lot of people have stuck up for me in my life so far. And I'm not let it stop me from being that good person to stick up for other people. Because I'm just that dude. Somebody has to. Family's everything. People say there's no such thing as love. And I said, oh, I remember when I was a little kid and I asked them to tell me, like, what's this love thing? What's it mean? And they tried to tell me and I didn't really understand. And then later on I thought, oh, that's because they were literally talking about romantic love. But what I felt for my family was something beyond that. Like, literally, I would have done anything for those people. Because they meant the most to me in the whole world back then. And romantic love's something. It's everything, but you gotta think like, oh, she probably feels the same way about her relatives. And not necessarily the same thing about you. It's hard to trust other people when you've been through so much messed up shit. Pardon my French again. We came from a very different world. Whether it was all a facade or not, it doesn't really matter because it's real to somebody. And however you make it, like back in the day when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a contract killer because I got beat up and picked on so much. Instead, I ended up just working out all the time from 11 years old to, to right now. But my goal was to beat up some man someday. And when I finally beat him up, it was the roughest day of my life pretty much back then. It hurt a lot, but I guess he needed that hug. Anyway, family's everything. I didn't tell my family members that I loved them for over 20 years. And then finally I realized one day, after somebody gave me some drugs and I was all like emotional for some reason. That's why I don't do those drugs. I said, well, I've been telling some girl that I love her every fucking day, every time she says something. And it's easier to tell a woman that you love her after you've got some. And I actually appreciate that too, because it really is, especially when she says it. It's like, well, you always say I love you at the right time. Anyway, it didn't work out with her, and I said, damn, all this time I haven't been able to tell my family members that I love them because the words didn't seem to mean enough to the feeling that I felt, so I never said anything. I was like, I'm like 20 something. I better just tell my fucking family members, pardon my friends again, that I love them, because otherwise I might never get to before I die, because I might be that stuck up and stubborn by the time I get to that point to where I want to say that again, and to where I never get to. I'll just be caught up in that habit. So finally one day I said it, and just like when I finally spoke as a kid, I almost felt like my family member was disappointed, but I was proud of myself because, hey, you got to get over these things. Like being the last member of my family to smoke pot because everybody else did. Finally, at 19 years old, some woman talked me into it. A woman about my age, and I said, okay, because I like chicks and I always have. My dad, he said, why you want to go hang out with the girls in the kitchen and learn how to cook, Tim? What are you, a fag? And that literally was my nickname, was faggot, for over 9 years. And other people, they just called me gay and stuff, but not for any good reason, just because, like I said, I helped my friends not get molested as a child, and I didn't tell them that for over 30 years. I don't like them, so I didn't tell them that. So finally when I told them that, I said, hey, how does it feel to know that you called me gay for over 30 years because I helped my friends not get molested as a child? Don't you feel like a piece of shit? And that's the truth. Anyway, so because of all that, and that's pretty funny too, I didn't tell my dad as a almost 7-year-old child. It's like, why do you want to go in the kitchen and hang out with the women? What are you, a faggot? That was my name at the time, my nickname anyway. I got called a faggot every day for over 9 years. But he said it with love, and I didn't tell him anything. I was just, no, I want to learn how to cook, Dad. But really, I was thinking, why the fuck would I want to be around you and your friend who call me gay all the time just to help you fix stuff? Because I've been helping my dad fix cars since I was like 5 years old. When I have a crush on that chick in there, and I literally am just going inside because I am in love with some older woman who I'm not going to tell anything, tell that about. And like literally, I'm just going there pretending to want to know how to cook so I can stare at her all day. And so that's what I did. And she's the only one who noticed that I wasn't gay, because all the women in there were calling me gay in their secret language, like ladies talk. And like, she's the only one who didn't think that about me, because although she didn't tell them that, she noticed that obviously I had a thing for her. And I learned to cook as well. I made some pretty good deer ribs. They don't have a lot of meat on them, but if you season them right, they're still pretty delicious. And I wasn't about to tell my dad either, because I'm not going to tell somebody something that they don't believe and argue with them when literally I couldn't help it. I had to go in and look at her because I had a crush on her. And that's just the way a man is.